Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin the lecture by John Lear. My name is John Rhodes. Many of you know me here, but my function today is actually to facilitate the introduction of Mr. Lear, who's a very good friend of mine. Our associations go back a number of years, and as you well know his name, for 22 years he's been out here speaking about this subject matter with an authority as a commercial airline pilot with thousands of hours of flying time. So he's the perfect eyewitness and investigator into anything that has to do with flying phenomena. John is rated in over 100 aircraft. He has been flying with airlines commercially and privately in over 60 countries. He's held 17 world speed records for flight. He's the senior vice commander of the China One Post. He's also a 24-year member of the Special Ops Association, with many, many years overseas working for the Central Intelligence Agency as a pilot. Today's lecture is called The Living Moon, How and Where the Cover-Up Started in 1870. As an amendment to his introduction, I would just like to say that this gentleman has really sacrificed a lot. His career was severely affected by his speaking publicly on the subject matter. His integrity is unquestionable. His accuracy is really quite unique in this field. I know because I double-checked on a couple of things that John has said, as we all do. But more than that, this is a gentleman that will literally give you his soul before he ever takes $1 in profit. And that's a very rare thing in this field. Still, he hasn't got the book or the DVD, so we belong in a small select club, he and myself. This information is being put out there to help people on a journey of exploration for not only their mental exercise, but also their spiritual exercise. If you need to see any of John's most recent notes, you can find them on abovetopsecret.com, where he has his own blog. And also downstairs, John, in his wisdom, has come up with the perfect device to make sure that you can remain independent from any kind of mind control. You will also be a welcome guest at any Thanksgiving dinner where they forgot the tinfoil. And it's quite stylish, as you can see, with a feather in the cap. And without saying anything more, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you my good friend and colleague, John Lear.
Thank you, John. I've got some good news and bad news. I'll give you the bad news first. We've been scammed again. The good news is I figured it out. For a number of years, I just looked at the moon like the rest of us, and just looked like something up there. I believed it, there's no doubt in my mind that we went there in Apollo 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, and the words of James Lovell as they went around, I think, Apollo 8, saying it's, dead, chalky substance, no gray, no nothing. And I really believe that. And a number of years ago, a friend of mine in Chicago said, if you get a chance, come on over and I want to show you some pictures. And I went over and he had a book, a Canadian book. It was called, I think it was Pictorial History of the Moon by Charrington. And he showed me a photo from Lunar Orbiter 5, and I didn't even know the Lunar Orbiter series then. Lunar Orbiter 5, and it was 155 M. And it showed an overview from directly down on the crater Copernicus, and there was 5 huge cylindrical tanks. I mean, it was obvious. fascinating. What, who put those there? I mean, there was no doubt about it. I mean, it couldn't have been, something natural. It was huge, great big tanks. So then, a few weeks later, I had ordered a copy, and I remember the exact moment that I was sitting, or actually sitting up in the bed at the Hacienda Hotel at LA International waiting for a flight. And I had another photo in this book, and this one was Lunar Orbiter 162, and that was an oblique photo taken in an angle of the same crater. And I looked, and I was looking at it, and I saw vapor clouds going up in this photo, and it was just amazing. I mean, the hairs went up on the back of my neck, and it was just thrilling. I said, there's something going on up there. And I remember calling Richard Hoagland and talked to him about it, and he said, well, draw what you see and send it to me. And I frantically drew what I saw in this photo, put the number of the photo and everything, and FedExed it for the next morning. And this is my first experience with how FedEx can, track anything because it didn't get there the next morning. And when I called, I said, what happened? They said, it missed the sort. The sort is when the airplanes all come into like Memphis and then they all go out. When they come in, that's called the sort, where they change all the packages. And I got it free, and it eventually got to Richard, but he didn't have much to say on it. And so over the years, I started ordering photos from NASA. And I think it was like in 1996 or 97, I ordered 5 photos, and one of them was this 62 M of the Copernicus crater, the oblique photo. And when it came in a tube as a negative. Now, I'd never heard of anybody getting negatives, and this was a 16 by 20 negative. It's huge, like that. I thought I was going to get a print that I could look at, So in those days, of course, technology wasn't advanced. Nobody had any way to enlarge a negative or print a negative like that. I did get a contact print, but of course that gives you a negative that you can't tell too much. And so it was like maybe 4 or 5 years until the technology got to where I could take this negative down and get it printed. And when I did, it was just amazing what I saw. There was stuff all over the place. So I took it over to Bob Lazar's house, and he made 4 scans of it, called